are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. So listen responsibly.
It's the best of the best. It's the one and only DJ Ice, Louisville's coldest DJ.
And we are back with more Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price, Esquire.
Hey, good evening. Welcome to Conscious Fever here on Ice Entertainment Television and Conscious Fever Radio. Been gone for a few weeks. Happy New Year to everybody. I know that promo keeps talking about DJ Ice. One day we'll get DJ Ice back. One day he'll make his way here. Help me out. Lots of technical problems tonight, so I want to make sure that you can hear me as I'm talking. My guest tonight is Paul Mullins, and we're going to talk about, we're not going to talk about Sarah Richter. I can tell you that. We're not going to talk about that. But what we are going to talk about is Conscious Fever Thursdays. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. How about that? My guest tonight is attorney Paul Mullins, and we're just going to talk about DeMar, Kevin, and Kenny. And so I want y'all to know what that means, just in simple layman's terms. That's DeMar Hamlin. Many of y'all know the story now because we don't come on every day. If we came on every day, we could update you a lot better. We're going to talk about, just make sure I get everything. We're going to talk about DeMar Hamlin. We're going to talk about Kevin McCarthy. And we're going to talk about Kenny Payne. Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Just commenting. So if you want to comment, we'll put you on Conscious Fever on the comment page. And we'll talk about that tonight. But again, I hope everybody had a wonderful and safe New Year. I hope the homicide rate has not started already to break the record from last year. And I hope everybody was really, really safe. Hey, Happy New Year, classmate. I see you there. I see your comments. Well, Mr. Mullins, looks like we got comments already.
What?
Yeah,
start talking.
man, we haven't even started talking, and we got comments. I'm going to leave that blank just for right now. Let me see if I can get everybody on the comment screen. How about that? There we go. Greg Freeman.
Happy New Year, Greg.
Happy New Year, Greg. How are you, man, my friend? Hope all is well. Happy New Year to you as well, Monica Lawrence. Monica Lawrence. Oh, how are you guys doing down there, Monica Lawrence? I haven't talked to you all in a while. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, etc., 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 etc. But in any case, this is Conscious Fever tonight. I'm Carl Price, your host. You're doing great. You're doing great. Don't you like this, Monica? This is what we do here. When you say something, we say something back. We just put you right on blast, right there. You see that? Monica says, great. And hopefully everything will continue to show in that screen. She said, love it, Paul. She said, love it. Anyway, we're going to talk about...
And we are back with more Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price, Esquire.
It's over to me. Listen, this is Conscious Fever. I'm your host, Carl Price, here on Ice Entertainment Television and Ice Entertainment Television. And thank you, Monica. I think I am doing great stuff, and I'm glad you're proud of me. But listen, we're going to talk about Kevin, DeMar, and Kenny. So my guest tonight is this guy that is that you see in the other screen. He calls himself Paul Mullins. He's an attorney here. Again, our topic tonight is DeMar, Kevin, and Kenny. Let's start this off, Paul, if you don't mind. Let's start this off by talking about DeMar Hamlin. Right. Many of you all know that DeMar Hamlin was injured Monday Night Football. Was it
Yeah,
Sunday?
no, it was. I think it was Monday night.
Yeah, it was Monday Night Football.
Of course it was.
He actually tackled an individual, tackle a receiver because I think he plays safety, right? He plays safety, tackled a receiver, and then suffered a cardiac arrest. And I have been told, and I have heard by some of the reports that I've seen that this can happen to anybody. That if you're hit in a certain part of your chest, which is a new weapon, now you don't have to carry a gun. You just have to hit people hit somebody in the right part of their chest, and you can cause them to go into a cardiac arrest. But he went into a cardiac arrest, and the game was canceled for only the second time in the NFL.
Yeah, and it should have been canceled. I mean,
Well, we're going to have that debate because a lot of people think that
canceled.
that it really shouldn't have been canceled.
Well,
So
the people who think that it shouldn't have been canceled, we've talked about this, are the people who probably weren't on the field. I mean, how can you get your emotional juices flowing to play competitive football when not just a player's on the ground, but if you're on the same team, that's your teammate, and even the other team that they didn't, after seeing and witness what they witnessed, they didn't have the emotional energy to go back and compete, and you don't want a situation where in the NFL, you put these players back on the field, and the very next injury that happens, people are going to talk about it even worse than the injury that we saw, because it's easy. The easy road is to say, suspend the game. Somebody looks like they may have died. Now, fortunately, he didn't die. The reports are that he's recovering well, that he's alert and getting communication back, which we all should be excited to hear that after what happened on Monday.
right.
But-
In fact, the latest report is that he did awake today, and when he awoke, he could not speak, but he was able to write. And one of the things he wrote was, "Did we win the game?"
Who to win the game? Awesome. That's a good story.
What a dedicated soldier! Did we win the game? Unfortunately, they didn't tell him the truth. Right? He was not told the truth.
I think what they told him was, "You're winning, or you won." Which again, everybody,
positive.
for all intents and purposes, thought he had died on
Right.
the field. He may have technically died, but everybody thought he was gone, and he's a miracle in the flesh.
Right.
What happened to him? I remember watching it, Carl, on TV, and they didn't show the replay, so I immediately went to Twitter, of course, right? Because Twitter catches everything. And when I was watching it initially, when I saw the hit, I thought he got hit in the head because at full speed, first time you look at it, it looks like he got hit in the head. Zoom in on it, slow it down, and I said he clearly got hit in the chest, and I thought, did he have a heart attack? And I looked because we were watching a movie, and my son said, "Oh my God, a player just died!" So we immediately turned it on to the Monday night game to see a train wreck, and they weren't showing the replays or anything like that. So when I went to Twitter, I thought he got hit in the head, and he didn't. He got hit in the chest, and I thought, it woke me up to you can get killed by getting hit in the chest in the NFL. And people get hit in the chest, hit in all parts of their body, and the NFL has always been concerned more so with players getting hit in the head. The CTE, which is the new, it's not new, but it's the current diagnosis that players are getting diagnosed with. This is something else now that the NFL has to worry about. Are they going to change the equipment at this point to cover the heart? Because there is a gap in your pads between your shoulder pads, which stop at about mid-chest, and then all the way down to your protective gear below at your torso. So, I mean, your solar plexus is exposed. You get hit in your solar plexus, which is where your rib cage meets in the front.
Right.
I hadn't really realized that was an NFL injury that could be this catastrophic. But it's a very rare injury altogether, and I've heard and read that it can happen in all sports. You get hit with a baseball in the chest in the same way. It's just a freak accident, and it can kill you. So all you ninja assassins out there who are thinking about hitting somebody in the head, now you can hit them in the chest and kill them too. So.
Now you can hit him in the chest and kill him. But I guess the real question was, should they have stopped the game?
Yes.
I mean, that was one of the questions. Should they have stopped the game? And you believe that they should have stopped the game.
So that night, my son said to me, "Are they going to replay the game?" They should. Now, he was, he's 17 years old. He wants to see the players play and whatever. He wasn't even watching the game at the beginning, but he made that comment. I immediately said, "No, they're not." I said, "No, they shouldn't." I thought that from the beginning, Carl. No. I mean, an injury where someone's carted out for a broken leg, we watch that happen all the time. They continue to play the game, but an injury that has an emotional impact on the players to where they're not out on the field playing with all their emotion, all their energy, and all their heart, it's just prone to get more players hurt.
What do you think the NFL was thinking in terms of the amount of time it took for them to decide to stop the game?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm not Roger Goodell, but I would think if you're going to stop the game in the NFL, there's no other reason that could trump this.
Yeah. Well, there are many individuals who believe that the game shouldn't have been stopped because football is a violent sport, and you go into the kitchen, you should be able to take the heat. I don't think any of those guys that go out there, and this is not my position, I'm just talking about the position of those individuals that we've heard talk about it. At the end of the day, you go out there, if you're a safety, you're going to be hitting people, and you take the risk that you might injure yourself. So why not just cart you off the field and continue the game like the NFL has done for years and years?
You don't think that it's different when your teammate is killed on the field, that you going back out? And, the age-old adage in the NFL is injuries are part of the game, but deaths are not part of the game. So that to me is the difference. I mean, they thought the kid was dead. They're performing CPR. He's not moving. He's not paralyzed. Where they're like, oh, that's terrible. They think he's dead. They can't go to their next play and concentrate on running a play when the guy that they just left the locker room with, who showered with them, who put the uniforms on with them at the same time, who maybe the night before had dinner with his kids, is dead from a game that they all loved and played. I mean, that's what they believed. So if you don't stop an NFL game for that, you're not going to stop an NFL game, and that's ridiculous. That's not valuing human life.
Yeah, interesting. Well, at the end of the day, the question, of course, the question was, whether the game should have been stopped. Many criticized the NFL because they said the NFL was greedy and it was all about money. Obviously, a lot of owners felt as if that, hey, you're going to put us in a bind where we have to get money back and all of this, and so it was an interesting discussion. But I would tell you that I think the NFL did the right thing. The reason I think they did the right thing was because you could see the emotional impact that his injury had on so many of the players. And if you can imagine being told that a loved one of yours has been rushed to the hospital, but you're expected to continue on playing the game if you're an athlete, or if you had a trial, right? If you're trying a case and all of a sudden you get word that your wife has been rushed to the hospital, and we don't know her condition. They had to revive her. It took 9 minutes to administer CPR, and they lost her for a moment. Can you really go back to your norm under those emotional circumstances? I guess is the question.
No, absolutely not. At the end of the day, a football player, while he's entertaining you, he's performing his job. And anyone who is at a job, regardless of how many other people appreciate him doing that job, is entitled to certain rights just like anybody else. Like you said, Carl, if you're at work and one of your coworkers died at the office and you were to take off for the rest of the day, I don't think anybody would say you should have got back to work.
Yeah, but again, I'm going to play devil's advocate
Go
here.
ahead.
It's football.
Football's a
We
job.
go in the courtroom to try a case. Football. They go out there to hit each other, knock each other around. They have all this protective
Not
gear
kill each
on.
other. Not kill
Why?
each other. Not
No,
kill
I
each
understand not kill each other, but you understand that risk is there. We don't go into a gunfight every day when we go
Playing
into the
devil's
courtroom.
advocate, I appreciate it, but you know better.
But I know better. Okay.
If you go into a courtroom and somebody died in the courtroom. They cleared the courtroom.
They absolutely cleared the courtroom. Let's look at some of the comments. I've seen some more comments here. Monica, thank you. I see your comment. You're doing great stuff. Proud of you, Carl. I am proud of myself too, Monica, and I'm proud of you as well. You all are doing great work down there. Our friend Dr. Pruitt. Happy New Year, Dr. Pruitt. You gentlemen look amazing and refreshed. Happy New Year. Nice gold tie as we enter a new golden era where
like
we
that.
soon will be using. Hold on, come back, Dr. Pruitt. Come back with your comment. We will soon be using hashtag gold as money. What do you think about that, Paul?
Agree with it. And so let's get to the
hold on. Let's finish. Then we're gonna come back to that. Peace, family. Peace, Queen Ahamara. Thanks for joining us tonight, and Happy New Year to you as well, Teresa Johnson. I appreciate that. Here's a response to what we were talking about, Paul. Greg Freeman absolutely should have stopped it. That would have been disrespectful to his family and players.
Absolutely.
You agree with that?
Of course. I mean, I'm at home. I'm watching NFL. I see my son on TV. He's practically dead on the field, and they say continue on as if nothing happened. No, that's. I wouldn't care if he was a rookie, a 30-year vet. He's a player. He's a human being. And he's at his job, and yes, they're out there to smash into each other, but they're not out there to kill each other.
Not out there to kill each other.
This is a dead issue. Anybody who would stand up and say they should have played the game, they're being selfish. I had a bet on it. I want them to win. I need my team in the playoffs. Those are all selfish reasons.
Yeah, because it was really
it's not even worth the discussion.
Yeah, it was an important game. Let's get back to the comments. There was one more comment here. Junior Hughes. Let me move you over there, buddy. It says 9 minutes of CPR, use of an AED. The man went into cardiac arrest. It can be traumatizing to see for many. Plus, as an athlete, that's your brother. I'm sorry. Let me let this come back. Well, will it come back? Okay, there we go. That's your brother on the field. Sometimes you can't move forward until you know he's okay. Emotionally, I agree with that.
Yeah, we are stating the obvious. What else were we here to talk about tonight?
Hold on, we're going to get to that. Happy New Year as well to you, Wendy Harris. Join our discussion tonight as we talk about, we're talking about it right here. Okay, let me get rid of that. Right here, DeMar, Kevin, and Kenny. All right, Paul, well, let's go to another topic. Let's talk about Kevin. I want you to introduce everybody to the Kevin that we're going to talk about tonight. Now, I'm not talking about the Kevin I met in court today, by the way. Let's just talk about the Kevin that...
We're talking about Kevin McCarthy in the Republican Party. And the fact that we have basically, 20 people in the House of Representatives who are holding up America from moving forward with, anything in Congress. It's completely and utterly ridiculous. I don't blame Kevin McCarthy for not getting the votes. I don't necessarily blame the 20 people who are holdouts. There's something wrong with the system where you have to keep this cycle over and over. It's not going to, but it could literally happen for the next 2 years. I don't think it will. But what's to stop it? What mechanism is in place to fix this? They could be in constant gridlock for 2 years. Now, I don't think that'll happen. I'm not predicting that.
I mean, it looks like it may. But let me just say this before we get too far into talking about Kevin. Here's what I said, y'all, especially for all of the U of L fans. This may not be a nice comment to make, but if Kevin McCarthy doesn't stop this, if he doesn't just get out of this, he's going to have a worse record. He's going to have a worse record than the University of Louisville basketball team.
Is that why we got Kenny Payne's?
That's probably why we have Kenny tonight. But Kevin is running a close second to having the worst record on anything. And if his record of losing gets worse than the University of Louisville, then Houston, we may have a problem.
Well, he's 0 for 11.
He is 0 for 11, and I think they've adjourned tonight. If y'all can churn in and let us know whether the House has adjourned. But here's the effect of this, and I want to make sure that everybody understands this. Here's the effect of this. The effect of this is that we absolutely have no members of the House of Representatives as we sit here tonight. The previous members, their term ended on December 31st or somewhere thereabouts, and the new term cannot begin until they get sworn in. They cannot get sworn in. They can only be sworn in by the Speaker of the House, and they must elect a Speaker of the House. So right now, people, we have no House of Representatives. In effect, we have no functioning government, except the Senate can still move forward with approving judges.
But they can't, right, they can't do anything to get new legislation, new laws, new solutions passed. Thank you, Republican Party. Thank you. Thank you, Republican Party. All the people who want the nuts in office have gotten their wish.
How would you call them nuts, man? They're not nuts.
Let me tell you why they're nuts. I don't mean to call them nuts like I know them in their psychopathic.
I will tell you this before you say anything more. One member of the Freedom Caucus was on CNN tonight, and he referred to the host on CNN. He says, "Young lady, I don't think you know that I am a member of the Freedom Caucus." And she fired back and said, "Well, I'm just going to assume that was a compliment, you calling me young lady." It's kind of misogynistic. Right. But anyway, go ahead.
But what I was saying is that you have I don't know if they're all Freedom Caucus members because I don't know which 20 are holding back Congress, but nuts are getting elected, and all they can see is this is what I can do. They don't see what they're doing to the country. They have a guy in their own party who has the majority of votes in their own party, and they want to stand up on a principle and say, I'd rather have no one elected than to elect him, and this country will never move forward because this is what I can do. That's ridiculous on its premise, and we don't have a mechanism in place to stop that from happening, to stop 20 individuals from holding up a nation of 350 million people. 350 million people held up by 20 people. Something's wrong with that. And you have to actually look at the Republican Party itself. They're the ones who are allowing this to happen. They're allowing their members to basically defect or not show solidarity to at least get something simple done, like start the business of Congress. They can't. And so this is the group of people, the Republicans, that want to be in charge, and they don't even know how to be in charge of their own individual group of Republicans.
All right, but full disclosure, there was a small pack of Democrats during the last term that were somewhat obstructionists, but not this bad.
Did they get a vote? Did they take a vote?
They took a vote, and Nancy Pelosi exercised her excellent leadership skills,
correct,
and got it done.
Whatever the stakes were, what they recognized was we are not making a point other than to draw attention to ourselves. They're not making a point. This country is based on elections and majority rule. And even within the Republican, how many is it, 218 of them? So you've got 218 Republicans. You should be respectful. 22. You should be respectful enough in your own party to say, hey, I want Don, whoever the other guy is, I forgot his name, to be the speaker. He's only got 20 votes. You take a second vote, it's got to be McCarthy. Right. Your own majority in your own party has determined that it's McCarthy. But you, in your individual capacity, in this Freedom Caucus, I'm going to hold everything up until I get my way. Does the country need a group of people who is my way or the highway? In your own personal lives, how do you get along? How do you deal with, how do you like people who say it's my way or the highway? Are those good people in your lives? Are these people you run away from and don't deal with when it's my way or the highway? If you got a spouse or a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, and they're a my way or the highway type of person, are these the type of people you need to be around? Are these the people that you think are making your life progressive and beneficial? That's what people need to recognize. This is the Republican Party. They can't even agree among themselves what to do. How the hell are we going to let them lead the country and show everybody else what we should be doing? They're just a party of obstructionists, and they were obstructionists when they didn't have the majority, and now they have the majority and they obstruct themselves. They obstruct themselves. They obstructed the Democrats, and then they got power because that's all they ever wanted, and they still obstruct themselves. Ridiculous.
Boy, you on a roll. Let's look at some more comments because I think quite a few people might be agreeing with you, Paul. Let me go back to some of these comments earlier. I'm not sure what this was, Cersei Moore, but hey, Carl, long time no see.
Are you healthy?
I am healthy.
I don't know what that is.
I'm not sure what that is. Maybe you can explain that. Dr. Pruitt says Matt Gaetz allegedly nominated Donald Trump for House Speaker. He did. And Donald Trump got one vote.
Wow.
Absolutely one vote. And the reality is, Dr. Pruitt, I'm glad you said that because the reality is you can be nominated as Speaker of the House because you do not actually have to be a member of Congress to be the Speaker of the House.
But my point is to this. So any Republicans, and that's a good comment, Dr. Pruitt. Why let Donald Trump as Speaker of the House when he's not going to get 221 other votes? Why do it? Why do it other than to draw attention to yourself and show fealty? Fealty? Is that what it is? Where you bend the knee,
Right.
bend the knee to a guy who may be in he may be in jail before this decade's out. And all you did was draw attention to yourself to show loyalty and love for this guy. You may love him, you may be loyal to him, he may be your guy, but this is just about conducting business. There was
for the American people.
Yeah, this was a Democratic vote to see which Republican should be the House Speaker, and it doesn't get done. It's like going to a lodge meeting and y'all not being able to vote on who the next lodge president is, and then nothing ever happens because you can't get past that. It's just stupid.
Some more comments here, Paul, if we can. Cersei Moore says that's what they are.
That is. And everybody needs to put that out there. This is the Republicans. We called them obstructionists, and at the time I've been an independent for a long time, Carl, and then I finally redid my voter registration. I'm now a Democrat. So
I appreciate that.
We constantly said that they were obstructionists, and that's all they did. Whatever idea the Democrats raised, they objected to. They never created or raised or tried to push anything of their own. They just stopped anything that the Democrats wanted to do, and they did that for the last 2 years. And now that they have power, they can't even get something simple done to lead the country. These are not leaders. They're not leaders. Stop pretending that they're leaders. They're followers. And the fact that Matt Gaetz nominated Donald Trump, all it takes is an infection, and Donald Trump might be the Speaker of the House. They all still love him. 80% of them still love him. And he could be the Speaker of the House. They're not leaders.
Yeah, I think
They're
Dr. Pruitt
followers.
still loves him as well. So she said that's what they are. Here's another comment. If the Supreme Court of the United States decides in favor of docket number 22-380-385, members of Congress and number 46 and VP will all go bye-bye. I'm here for it. You know what she's talking about?
No.
She's talking about let's go back. Let's give that some okay, so what she's saying is if the Supreme Court decides in favor of this that's the case on the docket. 22-380-385, members of Congress and number 46, that is number 46 is Biden, and the Vice President, Kamala Harris, will go bye-bye, and I'm here.
Is that something about the election?
For it.
What is that docket?
I don't know. Dr. Pruitt, why don't you
What's the
help
Supreme
us out?
Court docket? Yeah, I can look it up, but I'm not.
Whatever's going on there.
What's the name of the case?
Here we go. God don't like what's going on in our house. That's why they are fighting among each other.
No, they're not fighting among each other. It's when you say our house, it's
I think she's referring to the Republicans fighting among each other.
All right.
And they are. Good day. That's control. Yeah. Okay. They don't want him for some reason. And who could know better? They are supposed to be one, but they are undecided. And I agree with that. Very interesting. Trump can slide in as House Speaker and then move back to his position as President of the United States. When it happens, you gentlemen can buy me dinner, and I promise not to say I told you so. Wink, wink.
So, Dr. Pruitt, I don't know what you're a doctor of, but I don't suspect it's science. It's not possible.
Don't go there now.
Oh, it is science?
No, I'm just go ahead, but don't go.
Um, it's not possible. I guess anything's possible. It's possible that I could disappear and reappear in another room, but on a quantum level. But it's extremely unlikely. It's wishful thinking. It's tinfoil hat. It's not gonna happen.
You just absolutely that's not going to happen.
Not gonna happen.
All right. Well, but if he does, then he's third in line to be president again, right?
Right, and then there'll be an assassination.
Trevor Small, hi Carl, Happy New Year. Locked on from Barbados, following the circus from over here. Yeah, and Trevor, first of all, Happy New Year to you as well. I would tell you, man, it is a circus. It is actually embarrassing. You're in Barbados and you're seeing this stuff. Everybody around the world is seeing this stuff, and it is embarrassing. Here you go, Paul. Most people don't know about the Brunson case, docket number 22-380. So they believe that the Democrats are benevolent. Just wait until it becomes public. You gotta make sure that you follow that, Paul.
No, I'm not. It's conspiracy theory.
You think it's a conspiracy theory? Well,
No, it's conspiracy theory that I'm reading it now. Unfortunately, you can. I decided to look it up. I said I wouldn't, but
well, tell us what it is. Help us out. Tell us what it is.
I'm still reading the docket printout. I don't want to read it. That's the problem. I don't want to read it.
You don't want to read it?
No. This is wasting of our time.
Okay. Well, we'll come back to that, Dr. Pruitt. You're gonna hold on. Here's another interesting comment. And he says, it's our buddy Pete Palmer. Paul said. Just what Paul said. Thank you, Pete Palmer. Thank you for always joining in. Paul said it best. Tenfold. Hat stuff. That's right. Here we go. Dr. Pruitt, help us out. Dr. 22 docket is the Brunson case that was brought against the vice president and 385 members of Congress. More info will come out in January 6th. You didn't know about it, Paul. Tis, tis, tis.
Okay, no, there's no tis, tis, tis. What I'm seeing all over again, Dr. Pruitt, is I'm seeing QAnon. Something's always coming down the pike. It's always coming. There's going to be a storm. There's going to be a wave. There's going to be something's always coming. Open your eyes. That's how you are being manipulated. They're preying, whatever information you're getting this source from is preying on your sense of hope. And I'm not saying that there are things in this life for you. I don't know you well enough to say that it's hopeless, but they are preying on you. It's propaganda. You're eating it up. What happened when the last big propagandist told everybody that the school shootings were fake? What happened to him? What happened to him? He got sued, right? What is he doing now? He's straightened up and flew right. You know why? Because he's feeding BS to people. He knows that he's selling hope, and he's making money. Whoever's doing this to you, Dr. Brent, they're cashing in on it. Your eyeballs, not with your personal check, but your eyeballs, your attention is giving some other source of income to this movement. And it's QAnon, it's tinfoil hat, it's just open your eyes. Donald Trump is not coming back to be the Speaker of the House. There is no magic thing where this case is going to be decided and they're going to come out and say, Mr. Biden, Kamala Harris, pack your bags, get out. It's not going to happen.
Anything's possible.
Again, I can disappear from my spot and reappear over there. It could happen.
Bewitched type.
Yes, it can happen.
Okay, some more
but
comments.
It ain't going to happen.
Right, some more comments. Let's get to some of these other comments. Seriously, more. Why does Trump do anything? Why does he have a box full of back taxes from years gone by? Why did he take secret papers home, marked secret? Why does he even open his mouth? Why does he, Paul?
I think that's a good question, Cersei. I think we'd all love to know the answer as to why you would take home some documents that are marked top secret and put them in your country club, and so you can show them off to everybody. Hey, these are top secret documents. And just let people from China, from Russia, from all kinds of countries come in and say, oh, that's nice. Why would you do that? I'll tell you why. Carl, in 2015, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on, y'all. In 2015, we were sitting at a table. and Donald Trump announced he was running for president. Do you remember what I said about Donald Trump back then?
I do, but I can't remember.
I said he was a Russian spy.
You still think he's a Russian spy?
I still think he was a Russian spy.
What about his wife? You think his wife's a spy as well?
I think he's a Russian spy because, and my reasons were very simple. You want the richest man in America, but you don't never have no American women around you. You got foreign women around you all the time. What's that tell you? What does that tell you? You marrying Eastern Bloc women, all women from the Soviet Union. You love Russia. You building properties over in Russia, not in the United States. You running for president of the United States. You love America, but you ain't building stuff in America. You trying to build stuff over in Soviet Bloc countries, and you marrying women from over there.
Hamara says both parties are manipulating black people. What's your thought on that?
That's the life. That is. Don't think that both parties are manipulating black people. Everybody's manipulating everybody because at the end of the day, we all rationalize ourselves to want to. We have motivations, and most of our motivations are to do better, to get something more, to be better at something, to get the most of something. And so we try to maximize things for ourselves. And if people are subject to manipulation, whether it's black people, white people, Asian people, you're going to get manipulated. So if you think it's just these parties that are trying to manipulate you, try every commercial you watch on TV, try your social media, try, what else, TikTok, all those things. You're being manipulated constantly. And you just pointing out these two. And I just want to say that it's not just these two. People are being manipulated all over the place.
Here's a direct comment to you, Paul. Paul, you're making stuff up because you didn't know about it. It is listed on the Supreme Court .gov website.
I read it. So there's a lot of cases in court, Dr. Pruitt. I don't have to know about every single case that goes on in court. What I want to know about, what's the result? If this case lands the way you land, we all going to know about it. But when it doesn't land the way we land, it's just something you was talking about. It's just something you were hoping for. And all I'm saying is, I don't need to know what it's about. I don't care. I mean, I've got a synopsis. I mean, I don't care. I just know that
that was staged because he was right, sir. I'm not sure. Here we go. Dr. Pruitt is in the category of Dr. J, Dr. Dre, and Doc on Gunsmoke.
They're trying to say she ain't a doctor.
I'm not sure what Greg is trying to say, but I'm sure Greg would remind us. Queen Ahamara, they just drained his money because he was speaking facts. I'm no Republican, but I'm highly aware of the game.
What are we talking about?
I'm not sure, Ahamara. You lost us there. Maybe because we're bringing the comments up to that.
Whose money are they draining?
I'm not sure. Never will he come back in this life. Dr. Pruitt says if they are found guilty of the T word, they would have to be removed, my darling. And we all know what the penalty for treason is, don't we? LOL.
Well, I mean, Trump should know. We're not gonna get this into a Trump debate. We're supposed to be talking about Speaker of the House.
Okay, hold on. Whistles blowers speak what? Can't get mad at that man because he's telling what most don't see. I believe that he is a spy. His wife is from Russia.
Huh.
I've said that forever.
See, we agree. We agree. Most American men who are the richest men in America don't go find them a Russian wife. Okay. And she's not really from Russia. Where's she from?
Here we go. Here comes somebody Ukrainian who is crashing our show. Hi, I want to offer promotion of your channel. Viewers, Jasmine the Bar.
You're feeding into
lower than okay. Come on, KP. Enough Trump talk. Let's talk about Kenny. I am ready to talk about Kenny. Let me get rid of these comments, Pete Palmer. Break the matrix. Try that. I'm with Paul. You are so right. It's Q and all. Mm-hmm. Okay. One more comment from Dr. Pruitt. At Greg, if I'm in the category of Dr. Dre, I'm in good company. He has bomb music. Thank you for the compliment. Okay. Enough said. Let's talk about Kenny. Here we go. Kenny Payne. Our man Kenny Payne. Paul.
So I was talking to you either today or yesterday, and I read this article by a guy. It comes up on your when you hit the E and you get the MSNBC.
Right,
page.
MSNBC. Yeah.
It was written by a guy from Louisville, and it was an article titled "Is Kenny Payne Milking U of L?"
So he doesn't think Kenny Payne's real. You think Kenny Payne is just here to pass right through?
So let me give credit to the author. It's a long article you can find on the internet just by Googling that statement.
Kenny Payne, Milken University of Louisville,
Right.
MSNBC article by Steve Springer.
Right. He's from Louisville. He went to the University of Louisville. He
So he's a fan.
So yes, he's a Louisville fan, but he's basically a blogger. I think he works for a paper down in Murray State, so he might work for the. I don't know if it's a Murray newspaper or if it's a local city newspaper, but he writes for them. And when I read the article, I was like, "This is clickbait," but then I read the article, and he writes that. Now, to be fair, he doesn't really mean to say that Kenny Payne's playing U of L and that he believes Kenny Payne's a plant from Kentucky, which is stuff that we throw around as a joke because he's losing. If he's winning, none of us would be saying that, honestly. But what he stated is that, when you look back on it, everybody has said Kenny Payne's not a good hire, but he supported Kenny Payne being hired. He thought I think that's what the article says. It's a long article, and I'm remembering just the points that I want to remember, honestly. But he talks about the fact that when Kenny was hired, he didn't do the things that people expected him to do. You get hired. Do you come to town the next day and immediately get to work like Jeff Brom? No. Do you immediately go start recruiting? No. Do you immediately go to the transfer portal and start pulling in transfers? No. He goes through a whole list. I hadn't realized that. I did not realize that. I like Kenny Payne. I'm calling year one a wash. I don't care about year one. I do have watched the games. I
don't call it a wash, but go ahead.
Well, we're okay. It's less than a wash, honestly.
I think it's. No, I mean, let
We'll
me
get
just
there,
say
but
this.
let me finish my point about
Right.
this
Go ahead and
article.
make your point, because I have a direct question for you about Kenny Payne.
Okay, so I when I saw game one, I thought the first thing that popped in my mind was these players can't shoot. My son said to me after the last game with UK, he said they shoot pretty well, and he told me, he said, "I'll bet you our leading player, the kid who scores most of our points, what's his name again? I can't even remember.
Ellis.
Ellis. He said, I'll bet you Ellis is shooting 40% from 3-point. He hits all our 3-pointers. I said, no, I'll bet you he's shooting 30%. We looked it up. He's shooting 32%. So my initial,
That's not bad.
no, that's terrible. From the 3-point line, that's terrible.
32%.
32% is terrible.
It's just 1/3. Every
That is not what. That's just an average player. That's you or me going out back and shooting 3-pointers. Okay, that's terrible.
Trinity High School.
If you consider yourself a 3-point shooter, you're closer to 38, 39. And while that doesn't seem like a lot, over time that's a lot more points. It's a lot more points.
Yeah.
If you're Steph Curry, you're 42 or 43%. Okay, so 32% is not great. I just said when I saw the first game, I said we don't look like we have a lot of good shooters. But as we started to lose games, I started to put blame on Kenny Payne. But the truth of the matter is, we really don't have a lot of good shooters. And you can X and O yourself to death, but you've seen it, folks. When people are missing layups, you can't really coach hitting a layup. You just got to scrape the plate and bring in a new crew. And I'm hoping he can do that, which brings me to the next point. Is he bringing in a new crew? Which I'm not sure when you only win 3 or 4 games, you have the credibility to be able to do that. Because there's other things that I meant to go over, Carl.
Go over.
He didn't do the transfer portal. He's not a big proponent of the NIL.
Oh, that's
Okay?
not good.
That's not good. And so basically the guy's last statement was, when we hired this coach, is he really milking us? He doesn't do the things that you'd expect. And he's 50. He brought up the fact that the guy's 55 and he got his first head coaching job at
Right.
55.
Right. But a lot of people do. A lot of people, I know that's pretty old,
what
but
you mean to say is a lot of people get their first head coaching job at a big school at 55.
I think the fact that he's gotten his first head coach job at 55 and he's losing makes his statement significant. But if he were winning,
Right, you wouldn't.
his statement wouldn't be that significant. But the question I pose to you, and I pose to you all out there, is should we let Kenny Payne go, or is it too early?
You got to give him a second year. I don't care, folks. He cannot win another game. You've got to give him a second year. But
this year, people cannot fathom watching the game. They cannot stomach
know.
watching the game. A lot of people would tell you, I just can't watch it. So
what
why
I
should
see-
we give him another year?
What I see when I watch the games is I see that these players can play well enough for a short period of time, and they're not playing hard enough or they're not doing enough to get them over the top or finish these games. For instance, we were with 6 minutes to go, we were beating Syracuse, and then we fell apart. And a lot of people would simply say, well, that's on the coach because he's got to keep his players motivated. He's got to call time. He's got to do whatever. But we may not have the players with the maturity level, the intensity, whatever it takes to do what Kenny Payne wants to do. So we got to give him a second year to see who he recruits. You know, and I'm not saying this, he can do this. You recruit a DeMarcus Cousins, you recruit a John Wall, you recruit who else? Anybody else that's great like that?
I mean,
You recruit these people and you bring them in.
Did you say John Wall?
I said John Wall.
I mean,
you recruit anyway.
You recruited a lot of top players from the University of Kentucky.
But I'm saying,
for the University
but you bring
of Kentucky.
those players into U of L next year, and everybody says he screwed up. The first year, we forgive him. We're winning. But what I say to you is this. God, I hate to say this because they're going to throw me under the bus. But if we had Rick Pitino, no one believes we'd have 11 losses, even with the same talent.
Well, speaking of Rick Pitino, I think letting Rick Pitino go, letting Jurish go, I think that was all a mistake by the University of Louisville. And I question whether the guy, what was the athletic director? I mean, let me back up and just say this. Bevan started all of this.
Of course.
Bevan started all of this, changing the board out there.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, this former UK basketball player comes in as University of Louisville athletic director. And then he jumps ship. He brings in this guy from Xavier who had all kinds of baggage that nobody knew about. And then when the University of Louisville found out about it, they felt that it was necessary to now talk about that baggage, utilizing that as a reason to get rid of him. But getting back to Kenny Payne, the concern that I have is that this is really bad for a top-tier NCAA basketball, men's basketball program. It is just bad. I get it, Paul, that it's his first year. You got to give him a chance. But Kenny Payne is 55 years old. He has been an assistant coach to a lot of good basketball programs, not only at the University of Kentucky. He was an assistant coach somewhere else. So the problem I have is that a coach is there to motivate students. You can take the worst players and motivate the endurance and the emotion and the passion out of them. And if you don't have that ability to do that as a head coach, you just don't have it. I get it. He's a University of Louisville graduate. He's a former player of the University of Louisville men's basketball team. But my concern is he a bona fide NCAA Division I coach? And I don't want to hear all this SHIT about it's his first year and he gets a pass. No, I think you get a pass the first year at Bellarmine, which, by the way, beat the University of Louisville, or you get a first year pass at FAMU, which, by the way, they only beat by 1 point, right?
So I agree with you completely, except that we have to roll with him at least through the beginning of the next year because and I'm gonna tell you why. And I hate to say this because it sounds like a defeatist mentality, and I wanted to make a point when you said we're a top-tier program. I said this earlier. I don't know if you were there when I was talking at lunch, but we may not be – the sad reality is we may not be a top-tier program anymore. Because what is a top-tier program? A top-tier program is a program that the kids that you're recruiting think is one of the best teams to go to in the nation. That prestige can only last on a cycle of 4 to 8 years. In 4 to 8 years, if you suck for 4 to 8 years, right, all the kids that you're recruiting as freshmen, all the kids you might have started recruiting in the 8th grade, they've already gone through college. And the kids who have seen Louisville suck for 8 years means that they've seen Louisville suck since they started watching basketball before they got to high school. So when they get to be seniors, you're not seen of as a top-tier program.
Right, but some of those students would also want to be that one that comes to the institution and turns it around and says, I'm going to bring back the star power. I'm going to bring back the reputation the University of Louisville used to have. And that's happened at many programs. The problem, I think, Paul, is that in this age of NIL,
So I was going to say,
in this age of NIL, you must be a proponent of NIL because eventually these young boys are going to get it. And if they don't get it, their parents are going to get it, because you all know that prior to NIL, there was a lot of money paid out by boosters to families to get these kids to go. So the parents are behind this. And if you're not a proponent of NIL, not a proponent of giving these kids the opportunity to actually make a living in college, which we did not have.
So it's not,
and a lot of us did not have. A lot of us who even are lawyers now, we did not have. So my point to you, Paul, is that we are in a different age of the college athlete today. And, I don't know if you heard this. Let me just make this point, and then I'll turn it back over to you. I don't know if you heard this, but there was a rumor that the quarterback May at the University of North Carolina, there was a rumor when he went into the transfer portal that somebody had offered him $5 million, NIL, to come to their institution. He came out and said, that's a rumor, that's not true. If it is true, nobody's talked to me or my family, et cetera, et cetera. So what I'm saying is that NIL is significant today.
Right.
And I can tell you that there's a lot of kids that are going to look for institutions. And when you say that, you can be a mega star here, but you can't but you can't participate in NIL, that's going to be a problem.
So my take on it is it's more than the money, because in this day and age,
it's always about the money.
Well,
buddy.
Hear what I'm about to say, because it's more than just the money. If I'm a student and I am a good basketball student, if I'm a good basketball player coming out of college, I don't need the university to promote me in this day and age. I got my own TikTok. I got my own followers. I got my own thing coming out of high school. Could you imagine if LeBron James came out of high school today with the follow? He'd probably have 100,000 followers. I don't need the University of Louisville. The University of Louisville needs me.
Yeah, but the University of Louisville, being a member of the University of Louisville basketball team or any NCAA Division I basketball team, will get you an additional. Will get you half of those followers.
That is.
You believe these high school boys are coming out with 500,000 followers on TikTok and Instagram?
I believe that upper tier of players, whether they actually have 500,000 views or not, all the kids today believe that they need followers. They all want them. And I don't think that they think I will get followers if I necessarily go to, other than the top schools, that if I go to this school, I'll go to University of Louisville, I'll get followers. They think I can bring my own followers. I can use U of L to advance that or to make it move further. But they don't need the universities like they used to. Their only way of getting exposed in the past was, you're North Carolina, we're going to expose you. Now, if I want to get exposed, I just put my videos on YouTube and say, this is me.
Yeah, but the problem is, I don't know who the number 4 or number 5 high school basketball player is right now.
But the kids do.
No, I understand. Well, but not all of them. But the athletes do.
Yes.
But not the followers. The athletes are not the followers. The followers are the fans.
At the end of the day, if you're a scout for an NBA team, you know who these people are. You follow them.
But those scouts don't number millions. What I'm saying is that until they get to an institution and get exposed, then all of a sudden their likeness begins to increase. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying that they may be in high school now and they may have 5,000 followers, but that's going to turn in to 500,000 once they get on the hardwood with a North Carolina or University of Louisville jersey on, and they're pretty good.
I'm limiting my discussion to the top 50 or 100 players in the nation. Okay, so if you're a top 50 or 100 player in the nation, and you're let's think about it. Do we even have a top 50 player in the nation in Louisville? No, but if we had one, right? If we had one, Derek Anderson was probably our highest rated player back then. Everybody knew who Derek Anderson was. Derek Anderson didn't have to go out and say, hey, I'm Derek Anderson. He's in high school and the whole city knew who he was. Imagine if he had TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff for following. He wouldn't need necessarily to go to U of L to have a following. He could go anywhere he wanted. And that's how kids are if you're a top 100 player. The scouts know who you are. You will get exposed to a greater degree. But again, if I go to U of L, chances are ESPN is going to sign a contract at U of L because I'm there. Not because it's U of L.
Yeah.
Because I'm there.
I agree that the dynamics are a little bit different. We're getting close to that time, so I want to get back to some comments here. Since we're talking about Kenny Payne, Pete Palmer says Paul is cruising it tonight. Got to give Kenny a second year. If he bombs again, he's done. Interesting. Somebody agrees with you. But Carl, he is not winning. Give him another year to get another check. Yeah, right. To get another check. Here we go. Junior Hughes. Any coach needs at least 3 to 4 years to rebuild. No, I don't agree with that. Integrate their system and culture. When was the last year U of L was actually great in basketball? It's been years. Time is definitely needed to rebuild. The only problem, I just got to tell everybody this since y'all are now jumping at me. The only problem I have with that is that this is, I don't think the experience that what we're experiencing, by the way, with Kenny Payne, is that what you all are talking about. That a coach comes in, a coach is handicapped. I don't think that's the case. I think what I'm seeing here, and Kenny Payne may not want to hear this, I don't see him as a motivation to the players. I don't care who you are. If you're a good coach, if you're like Rick Pitino, and I agree that Rick Pitino should have never been let go, and they really should consider bringing him back. But if you're a good coach, you are a motivator. You can come in with the worst team, and teams win because they have the excitement to win. So they, and I'm just saying that they're motivated. You motivate them to want to do this. And we see it all the time, Paul. Bad players turn into good players because they're motivated to do that. And I just don't see that in Kenny Payne. And I think that's part of the problem that I have.
But you don't know the whole story. They may have terrible practice, may have bad practice, but I'm going to tell a personal story.
It's a coach's problem if they have bad practice.
I'm going to tell a personal story. I know this is not the same level, but I love telling the story because it's a true fact. I coached fifth grade basketball, okay? I coached at a school called Low Elementary. It's in the East End. It's a bunch of nerdy white kids at that school. It's like in the state, they always consistently had scores in the top 10. Bunch of nerdy kids. They hadn't won a game in 3 years. You've heard the story because it's true. And all the people know this in that neighborhood. They hadn't won a game in 3 years. A lady asked me to coach their team. I had never really coached a team on my own. I was always somebody's assistant coach. The first year we went there, we didn't win a game until the last game of the year. And one of the teachers poured water on my head like she was so excited we finally won a game. I then had those kids over right before
that, Kenny Payne.
Right before summer break, and I told them that wasn't good enough. And I had and when they left, I gave them some things to do over the summer to come back and be better players. And then I looked at myself and I said, even though we only won one game, I don't feel good about me being out there losing games. And I literally at that point, I researched, I Googled how to coach fifth graders, what to teach them, what to show them, because I thought I knew what I was doing. We won one game. They were excited. That wasn't good enough to me. I saw all these other little kids playing basketball, hooping and everything. I went back. We went to the championship the next year with just a change in mentality, and it had nothing to do with them being better shooters, being better players. It was about the way I was coaching them and the way I was communicating with them. And that can happen. And after that, going to the championship, we lost in the championship. We ended up winning 2 more championships while I was there. That school went from being the worst in the league to one of the best.
Right.
And it had nothing to do with anything other than motivation.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm telling you, the reason I'm telling this story is because if they had said, Mullins can't coach, get him out, we went to 3 more championships. And so all I'm saying is a coach can look at himself and say, okay, that was my first year. I'm not satisfied with that. What am I going to do? We're going to make this right.
That was fifth grade, Paul.
I'm telling you that on any level, you have players who are bench players. Here's another classic story. The quarterback for the St. Louis Rams, I forgot his name, Kurt Warner, was bagging groceries. Got his shot, right? And instead of bagging groceries, he's winning championships. Things happen. So you give the man another year. If the year looks like it's progressing to be the same, you evaluate that, and then you decide after the second year whether to let him go.
Yeah. Well, you all can endure that pain. I haven't.
Was that a pun on purpose?
No. It's not. PAIN.
Ah,
And you all can endure the PAYNE also. But it is hard to watch. I mean, it's hard for me to watch University of Louisville games, and I dare not watch the University of Kentucky and U of L.
So you're right. It's hard to watch, but what are we going to do? You still support your team because at the end of the day, if everybody bails on the coach and bails on the university and leaves and doesn't support with money,
then they
get another coach. But this university still loses money, okay? And at the end of the day, the recruits still see you got a stadium that holds 25 and they getting 12,000 people. They're not coming.
Yeah, right. And that's what's happening at the University of Louisville, by the way.
Church isn't coming back. Patino's not coming back. Let's stop dreaming that they're coming back and figure out how to fix the problem. If we I'm
going to keep dreaming. Rick Pitino, we want you back, buddy. But anyway, let me get some of these comments so we can get out of here, Paul, because you always comment and complain about the fact that you
hold me too long.
That I hold you too long. So Greg Freeman agrees with you. It's too early, and that is a bad basketball team. But he needs to show major improvement next year. Yeah, well, whatever. I don't think so. Losing Tom Jurich was the worst mistake for Louisville Athletics.
Let me comment on that. Junior, you're absolutely right. Tom Jurich didn't want to leave Louisville, and it doesn't start with Tom Jurich and Rick Pitino. Again, it started with the changing of the board, the changing of the university president, the changing of the athletics director. None of those people built what Tom Jurich, Rick Pitino, and James Ramsey built. We can call James Ramsey a criminal. You can call him whatever. They ran him out of town. The board ran him out of town. That was the start of the board being changed over to get him out of town because they were all three lock, stock, and barrel on the same page about U of L athletics. If they had remained here in this day of NIL, Tom Jurich would have embraced it, and because that's all he was. He was a marketing genius.
Giant.
Tom Jurich, giant. He knew how to market this university and sell it to donors and sell it to people. He would have sold this university to recruits. He would have sold this university to advertisers. This university would have been on top. Junior, you're 100% correct. That was the worst mistake we ever made.
Okay. Letting Rick go was the biggest mistake ever. And he knows it.
Second biggest.
Like Rick said, he could not watch every player 24 hours. He could not stop young players from, and then you cut that off. Other first-year coaches are winning too in the LSU coach and the Missouri coach.
Guys, our best three-point shooter is 32%. You got to put that in perspective. Our best three-point shooter is at 32%. If you look at L. Ellis, he's a great player, but L. Ellis is a slasher. He's shooting three-pointers, and we're happy when they go in. But who else on that court do we have in this day and age? This is a basketball time period where the three-point shot is paramount, okay? Three-point shot is paramount. We don't have a three-point shooter. Let's all just recognize what we have out there. If we have a three-point shooter, somebody put it in the comments. Who's our lock, stock, and barrel three-point shooter? When you look around at the NBA is practically, it's not a true statement, but they're practically taking more three-pointers than two-pointers. So what does that tell you? The talent level is moving towards a three-point game more than a two-point game. We did hire a coach who's supposed to be the big man whisperer, but the time of the big man has passed. There are no more Patrick Ewings. There won't be any more Akeem Olajuwons. No more Shaquille O'Neals. There will be Anthony Davises, who are more like point guards playing fives.
Right. How about this comment here? Let me bring a comment back. The fact that Milt Wagner's son committed to UK speaks a lot about the state of the program.
Well, it doesn't. It speaks about more so the state.
It was actually his grandson.
But it speaks more so to the state of awareness of Kenny Payne and his ability to recruit. I mean, you hire the kid's grandfather because you expect the kid to come. You don't make that hire unless it's 100% certain. And that's a mistake that he made for sure. I promise not to bash Kenny Payne tonight. I really need him to have a good season next season. And I don't mean a season where he goes 50%. I really need him to have a turnaround season. But, I mean, right now, my hopes are not very high. I hate the fact that I'm down and on him, but
It doesn't matter what grade these young boys play ball nowadays. Yep. Heck, Valentine sitting on the bench looking. He needs to be coaching. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, and he's got a good team. He's got a good coaching staff.
Does he though?
He has a.
Does he though?
No, he really.
Everybody says that, but let's take a look at him.
Listen. I think I do agree that I think he's got a good coaching staff. I think he's put a good, and that's what I got excited
Do
about.
they have chemistry? Are they teaching the players?
Maybe that's the problem. Maybe there's too many Kings. Maybe they don't have a lot of chemistry. But anyway, look, Paul, we are 10:13. We are 7 minutes. We are now 6 minutes beyond our overtime. So listen, people, I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight here on Conscious Fever, on Ice Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. We do have to get out of here. I want to thank my guests over here, Paul Mullins, for joining me tonight. Interesting discussions, very interesting discussions. But listen, I'm going to be honest. I'm okay with giving Kenny Payne another year, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to be watching a lot of U of L men's basketball.
I mean, if we go into year 2 and we start out 0-10 again, you got to pull the plug before the season's over. You can't have 2 0-10 seasons and say it's not something to do with, is it motivation? Is it X's and O's? Is it recruiting? Is it NIL? What is it? But you can't go into the second season with 2 drops because, like I said, people don't realize this, but a school's prestige can only be 4 to 8 years long because the only people who care about a school's prestige are the kids that you're recruiting as seniors. They're only going to watch your program for about 4 to 8 years. I mean, by the time they're a freshman, they're looking at you. By the time they're a senior, where you at?
Yeah.
And if for the last 2 or 3 years you ain't been crap and you've been over, they're not looking at you.
It absolutely does start early. It really starts early. Anyway, Paul, thanks for joining me tonight. Y'all, this has been Conscious Fever here on Ice Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. Paul Mullins has been my co-host, and somebody said in the comments that you're the next co-host. Maybe so, maybe not. Anyway, it's Conscious Fever. I will see you next week. I promise.
All right,
Good night.
Get them all off me. Say that for L, she a cause to see. 4 cars deep, we'll come through on a late night. Chicken spot, wings and fries, we call that a day night. Lights on, so out, I don't have no stage right. Knew that I was built for this forever, ever, ever.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
We ride bands, 10 times 10, all my friends, it's for real.
I get enough of you. Bright sneakers on, getting ready for a flashback. Time keeps moving on, looking at you, feeling like I could never, get enough of you. And I could never get enough of you. I could never get enough of you. I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord that I wake again. I wake again, I pray the Lord that I Now I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord that I wake again. I wake again, I pray the Lord that I wake again. that I wake again. I wake again. I wake again. I pray the Lord.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price on 97thebeatfm.com.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh yes it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. 'Cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh yes it is. Then I go to my brother. And I say, brother, help me please. But he wind up knocking back down on the knee. There've been times that I thought I couldn't last for long, but now I think I'm able, Father, to carry on. And it's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it is. Yes it is. Yes it is. Said I know that a change is gonna come one day. I know a change gonna come. Yes it is. I know. Said life can be hard. Oh yeah. And times can get rough, but still